And a good morning to you. Welcome inside the bottom line. Lanny Ford for Rembert, and the G-Man is in the house today. And glad to have him to join us as well. Three amigos. It's not Juju this time. That's okay. We'll take it any way we can get it. A couple things I want to go over before we get deep into the show. Of course, I made mention of it last night. I'll go ahead and make mention of it again today. David Elder, longtime area high school football and basketball coach, mostly at Hickory High School, passed away yesterday after a lengthy illness. He was born in Alexander County, graduated from Taylorsville High School in 1963, was a 4-year starter at Lenore-Ryan, 10th on the LR pass reception record, and you can see why, because he had the largest hands, some of the largest hands I'd ever seen. I compared it to Blackjack Mulligan's hands, which were the biggest hands I'd ever saw. He taught and coached for over 35 years at 5 different high schools and in North Carolina High School Athletic Association, most prominently at Hickory High School. This is from Jason Savage at Hickory Daily Record. After successfully coaching at West Lincoln, South Stanley, Lenore, and West Caldwell High Schools, he joined Hickory as an assistant in 1979, took over as head coach in 1994. While he was at Hickory, these are some impressive records to me, was football and women's basketball coach. He was 418 and 129 in women's basketball during his tenure. And in women's hoop, he won 3 state championships, 94-95, 96-98, 98-99. His football career spanned 5 schools as a head coach with a record of 143-71 and 1. He won the 3A title in 1996. So he won a title in something 94-95, 96-97, 97-98, 98-99.
Yeah, in basketball, they were really good.
And in 3A football in 96, in the state championship game, beat Ragsdale 42-0.
Yeah.
You beat a team like Ragsdale 42-0?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I mean, I remember that team. We scrimmaged them. That was my first year coaching at Maiden, and the quarterback was Daniel Willis, right, who's the basketball coach at LR, right? And I happened to coach Daniel that summer before that season. And he was playing on he didn't play Legion ball that summer. They were working out with football, so they played rec baseball, but they played in the upper division. And we combined teams. I was coaching a team out in Mountain View because I was at Ford before I came to Maiden. And I was coaching that team, and then we did like an all-star. So I had him and Dean Powell and another kid come over and from Hickory. I got to tell you, Daniel, he tremendous athlete.
And I don't think I remember that he was on that high school football. We've had Daniel
He was the quarterback. And Daniel was very good. His leadership, like he was the point guard in basketball, all these things. His leadership skills. If there's a guy that Dave Elder would want to be able to run his offense, it was Daniel. And I could, just having been around him for 2 or 3 weeks in the summer, can tell you, that it was legitimate. I mean, and when we scrimmaged them, they beat us 2-1, 2 touchdowns to 1. We were pretty good that year. It was ranked Chris Ramsworth's senior year. Our defense was pretty good. Jovan Hoover had transferred from Fred T. Ford to Hickory. He was a wide receiver. Good basketball player, but better football player. And, Ford, I don't think, really went to the air that much at the time. And, even though Hickory was a wing T offense, Lanny, at that time, they still threw the football, not just in the waggle,
right?
But, stop routes, out routes, hitch routes, post corners, whatever, fly routes. And, it was watching them in that scrimmage, you knew something good was going to happen to them that year. Now, to the extent of how good they got, that's a testament to Dave Elder and his staff. Those were great kids, but they got – I think one of the things that really separated them from about any other team I've seen in this area in a while is every week they got better. And he didn't try to have – Coach Elder's really smart. He he kind of understood the process of a season. Like what he didn't want to do is he didn't want his team to be ready the first game, like 100%.
There's two other teams that were like Lincoln was like that, and Shelby was like that.
Yeah, right.
They would start the peak at the end of the regular season, which is what you wanted.
Right, and I just think that being around in this area now for many years, just like you have been, we've had the opportunity to see some really good coaching, but really good guidance and understanding how to keep improving and adding a little bit more as the kids can take it each season. I think one of the biggest mistakes today is there's too much done in the summer to try to be ready for game one.
See, I think
again, I'm not saying anybody's wrong. What I'm saying is that's just an observation I've made that I think, that there's a lot of, and you want to work out in the summer to improve, but I just don't feel like you need to be your best by game 3. You need to start peaking, like you said, at 8, 9,
There's
10.
got to be a happy medium because I'm not as big a fan with a lot of this 7-on-7 that goes on during the summer. I think it's a little too much.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I remember when Tom was coaching, he didn't like to do a whole lot of anything in the summer because he wanted those kids to come in hungry.
Yeah.
So there's got to be a happy median in there to try to get there.
The world's so different today that kids working out, the availability of weight room, it's training year round, that kind of thing. And whether you and I, or anybody else, likes it or dislikes it or whatever. Yep. Football's 12 months now.
Yeah, it is. Well, most sports have gotten that way.
And that's okay. It is what it is. You just got to manage your energy, during all that, okay?
Let me welcome Stephen inside, Milton Sane. Good morning. Glad to have you. Andrew, good morning. Andrew calls us the three amigos. Or Trey's
breakfast after this? Do you have a call?
I got a conference call.
But how long?
God only knows. Now I got a meeting behind it. I got a full morning. Sorry.
I was going to see if you want to go with me and Andrew and the Bull.
Well, just watching the Bull eats entertainment in itself. Okay. Brian Danner from Carolina Beach. I'll be there in a couple of weeks.
Good morning, brother.
Stacy, good morning. Congratulations to the Vols as they've made it on to the College World Series, which we'll get to. Richie, good morning. Yes. Bob said the 96 team led the state in scoring and defense that year. If they beat Ragsdale in the championship game 42-0, I'll guarantee you.
Now this is not a cut on 3A football, okay? But Bob brought up a very, very good point. Hickory was so unique, okay, that 3A football has a major dip in it and then some really good teams, right? The happy medium is just kind of, it wasn't at that time really not there because of just the way it is, right? Some schools take it serious, some care nothing about it. Hickory hit everything at the right time, as far as their scheduling goes. And what's impressive is, and Bob probably remembers this, they got better as the playoffs went on when the teams got better. Like they upped their level, right? So, early on in the year, there wasn't a whole lot of, I say competition. There was, but it wasn't real good. But to Bob's point, I wanted to bring this up from a defensive standpoint for them to just keep adding it on week after week.
Oh, yes.
It's just phenomenal. And, again, I'm not cutting 3A. I'm saying they did it right.
Yeah.
They had a great year.
Donnie, good morning. Glad to have you in with us. Rich, you wanted to know that basketball record, and it was
incredible.
It was 418 and 129. 418, 129.
That's all the teams he coached, okay? Let me tell you something.
That was just that. But that was women's basketball.
No, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. I watched him when he coached girls basketball at Hickory, okay, and how he interacted with the players. That is something that we may or may not see again in this area. I specifically remember Alicia Abernathy. She was young. I think she was even a freshman when they won that 97 state championship. I can't remember. Bob knows. 96, 97 year. The way that he helped guide her, as great a player as she was, he knew that for her to be, it's kind of like Dean Smith with Jordan, okay? You got to work on these other things over here because your skill set's really good, but let's improve these things. I watched him coach her because that team was just, that's what I've always done since I was a little kid. Like I was in front of like Dickie Foster and Jerry Copas and all these guys. So my dad coached. And so I've always observed the coach, Randy Fawcett. Coach Fawcett was a great defensive coordinator. watching these guys. But watching Coach Elder work with her and the other teammates she had, because they had other great players too. I'm telling you, Laney, it really helped me understand how to not get down to the level or up to the level or anything, but just how to open up communication with players.
Yeah.
And that's something that Coach
Elder, he's an old country boy.
I mean, he was really good with it.
Donnie, good morning. Glad to have you. Andrew said 7-on-7 makes a lot of teams think there's something they're not because you're not seeing the whole picture.
Well, throw it deep and catch it is not a process.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Now when you work on your short passing game and things like that, just because you got the fastest guy to outrun everybody doesn't mean that, it's just for that one play.
Every play.
Yeah, I mean, that's it.
Donnie said that we lost 49-14 in our season opener in '96. I was very depressed about our showing until they hung 60 and 70 on just about everybody else they played.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I remember, Coach. I remember.
Richie said the Tennessee player hit a bomb last night, 497 feet. Tennessee in the Super Regionals came back twice from down. Now, last night they shut out, but they were able to get through that one. Let me finish up here on Coach Elder. I met him when he was working with WHKY. He was at West Lincoln but left just before I got there.
Yeah.
He worked with Brendan Elliott and Tom Watson and Troy Leatherman. That was the coaching staff back then.
There, buddy.
He worked football and basketball commentary from 05 to 21. Last game he called was football game at West Iredell. Sports director Jason Savage's alma mater, and the first time the two schools had ever met. He was a member of 4 Hall of Fames. 2000 went into Lenore Ryan Sports Hall of Fame. 2007 Catawba County Sports Hall of Fame. 2012 he was one of the inaugural members of Alexander County Sports Hall of Fame. And then in 2017 he went into the North Carolina High School Athletic Association Hall of Fame. He was also an alderman for Ward 4 in Longview and a member of Bethany Evangelical Lutheran Church in Hickory, and will definitely, very, very definitely be missed. Let me take a break, and then when we come back, we're going NFL, and we're going to play a game with G-Man called Start, Sit, or Cut. Back in a moment.
Whether it's a sit-down meal or a call-in for the drive-thru, Brookwood Cafe and Catering is the answer. A variety of meats, vegetables, and desserts cooked daily, or a hot sandwich from the grill, they have what you're looking for to satisfy your taste buds. If you need catering from 5 to 500, Brookwood has you covered as well. Stop by Brookwood Cafe and Catering at 202 Providence Mill Road in Maiden. Don't forget breakfast daily till 11 a.m. Open Tuesday 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., Wednesday through Saturday 6 a.m. till 8 p.m., and Sunday from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Call 828-428-8944 to place your order today.
If you ask around, you'll find Burke Mortuary has a reputation for excellence and commitment to value. They've built a reputation of trust for more than 35 years. Burke Mortuary is proud to offer personal attention, meaningful tributes, and the area's most affordable prices. They're also proud to offer you beautiful, state-of-the-art facilities. It's the perfect place to honor your loved one. So when choosing a funeral home, the choice is easy. Choose Burke Mortuary with locations in Maiden and Newton.
Covenant Church began as a vision of just over 100 people in 1984. Since then, Covenant Church has grown and currently located at 2168 Gastonia Highway in Lincoln. The Sunday schedule includes early morning worship at 8:30, Sunday school at 9:45, and morning worship at 10:45. Their ministries extend beyond Sunday. Visit their website at www.covenantchurch.church to see all they have to offer, and better yet, stop by and see for yourself. Covenant Church may be just what you're looking for a new church home. First Federal Savings Bank has been serving Lincoln County since 1940. And as it has been from the beginning, customer service is a priority to First Federal Savings Bank. They want to get to know you by name. First Federal Savings Bank has the convenience, the products, and the services that the larger banks have, but with hometown people that you see throughout your community. Stop in and visit one of their 4 convenient locations and see what First Federal Savings Bank has to offer you. Member FDIC, an equal housing lender.
Untangling your headphones, finding the right remote, saying goodbye to your favorite shirt that hasn't fit in 10 years. Why are simple things sometimes so complicated? Thankfully, with Auto Owners, insurance doesn't have to be one of them. Auto Owners works with independent agents who live in your community and answer when you call, so you can worry about more important things, like finding a new favorite shirt. That's simple human sense.
Call Mooney Insurance in Maiden or East Lincoln Insurance in Denver or visit MooneyInsurance.com. Stifel Nicholas now has an office in your community. Stifel Nicholas is a full-service organization offering a wide range of investment vehicles and services. These include money market funds, CDs, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, annuities, retirement plans, and managed accounts, to name a few. Our financial advisors will sit down with you and help you tailor an investment plan, explaining strategies and investments which may help you achieve your personal goals. Call 4Rembert today at 828-624-7300. Stifel Nicholas, member SIPC, and the New York Stock Exchange.
And welcome back. Glad to have you here on a Tuesday morning. Beautiful day outside. 58 degrees when I got in this morning. Going to get up to around 80. You know, do you realize that we have only had one 90-degree day in 2023? One 90-degree day. Let's see. Might have been last week. We hit 90 one time.
Yep.
That's it.
Have?
Yep, just one time. Stacy, that's right. It was a long night for Tennessee, but they pulled it out. And, Brian, you're right. Sports Talk and Brett's Donuts, life is good. I'll tell you this, Brian. If you just look about a block or so south of Brett's, after you come off the boardwalk, there's I think there's a Courtyard by Marriott that's right on the ocean. And then right below that, right off of, I think it's called Charlotte Street, you'll see a four-story townhome looking condo. I think there's 6 condos in it, 4 or 6. Well, we stay there, and I can walk up to Brett's and get fresh donuts every morning. Me and 10,000 of my closest friends go up there because there's always a line. But the other thing that you can do there are some great places to eat right there in Carolina Beach. There's a great steakhouse that's local. The places down there are local. They're not chain.
Right.
And that's where, you know.
That's what makes
and there's seafood, there's bar food, there's all kind of things. And we did, when we went down there, it's been 2 years or 3 years. When we went down there, we walked to every place that we ate from where we stayed, which was so nice.
Absolutely.
Didn't have to get in the car. It's not crowded like most of the other beaches. And it was just nice to be able to do that. And so we went ahead and scheduled another place to go down there. Now, the only complaint my wife and children have is we are not across the street because the area we're at is far enough. The Ocean Drive or Ocean Boulevard side of it is far enough off the beach because it's right down below the boardwalk. But you got to walk about 2 blocks to get to the ocean, which I don't walk any to get to the ocean because I don't go to the ocean. This place we stay has got 3 living areas, plus the ground floor is parking, and then when you go to the 3rd area, you can go up a spiral staircase to like a crow's nest that's up there that really puts you up high.
Yeah,
beautiful view.
Look, yeah.
I think I did a show from up there one year when I was down there before.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, I'm excited, Brian. Love Carolina Beach. Growing up, we spent our time at Curie Beach, which is just on down the way. And but Carolina Beach is kind of where we stay now when we go to the beach. You can have Myrtle Beach and all the other stuff that you got down there. All right, let me get G-Man in here. G is wanting to play a game that they do on ESPN called Start, Sit, or Cut. And we're going to take the first group of players that we're going to take, and they're going to be, if you had these 3 first-drafted quarterbacks on the same team, correct, G? If they were on the same team?
Yeah.
Which one would you start, which one would you sit, and which one would you cut? You got to make a decision. Mm-hmm. So tell me who's on that list and tell me what you do and why.
All right, so we have Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, and Trey Lance.
Okay.
So I'm starting Bryce Young.
Okay.
I'm sitting Stroud. I'm cutting Lance.
Okay, why are you sitting Stroud?
Well, it's because of his IQ of the game. Bryce Young got a 98. C.J. Stroud got an 18.
Yeah,
Right.
And that's on the quarterback. What he's talking about there, they've got a new test or new evaluation tool that they use just with quarterbacks that will give them an indication of how well they pick up coverage, how fast they pick it up and make changes, which you haven't seen this before. It's not the Wonderlic. It's a different type test. But Bryce Young was off the charts on that. However, I still have my concerns about how durable Bryce Young is. He may be the best one to start out of that bunch, but I'm not sure what his durability will be. That would be my only concern. And why did you leave out give me your three quarterbacks again?
Trey Lance. He left out Trey Lance.
No, he had Trey Lance.
Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, Trey Lance. I said that I was cutting Lance.
Okay, the kid out of Florida.
C.J. Stroud.
No.
Anthony Richardson.
Anthony Richardson. Why was he not in your top three?
Well, it's because then you would have to make an easier decision because then you would go off who was picked higher. Then that's the case. So that's why I picked Lance. I could have put in Will Levis, but I didn't because he was picked in the second round. Trey Lance, all three of these guys were picked in the first round.
I think Will Levis and Anthony Richardson will be the surprises in the draft, and I'll tell you why. Now, if they were on this list, I would want them on a team where they could sit and be mentored for a year.
Yeah.
See, that's where I think the Panthers messed up. They may have this guy that's off the charts in Bryce Young that can read, but you got a heck of a mentor in Anthony Dalton that you could have taken one of these other guys that were a little more prototypical NFL size, but maybe had some – the biggest concern with Richardson and with Levis was completion percentage, that type thing, and I don't know where they were at on reading the field.
I think Levis got like a 50-something in terms of that, and I think Richardson got like a 72.
Okay.
I think that's what it was.
Because, see, those guys appear to me to be more durable than Stroud or
Levis
Young.
Because he got killed this year. He showed how tough he is to play.
But Anthony Richardson's not a small kid either.
No, but the thing let me throw another angle in here on Richardson, okay? He has not had enough reps. It was kind of like Haskins.
Well, it's kind of like Trubisky.
And Trubisky, right. Okay, now, is the upside there? We all agree that – I mean, I think across the board everyone would say, wow, yeah.
Yeah.
But there's not enough time-tested, proven, and true, and that's why Bryce was number one.
But when you don't take a quarterback in the first round, you don't have that pressure to immediately start him, which is the other side.
But see, here's what they're doing with Will Levis. They're going to keep Tannehill.
Yes.
They're going to trade Willis, and they're going to sit Levis for 1 year, and then they're going to trade Tannehill.
And that's why I'm saying Levis and Anthony Richardson may be the hidden jewels because they're going to be able to sit them and let them mature a little bit. Now, Trey Lance, not Trey Lance.
Stroud?
No, who's the existing one of the existing quarterbacks at
the Jets?
No, 49ers.
Oh, Purdy.
No.
Purdy, Lance, and
Trey Lance is one I'm thinking about. Trey Lance, he's not ready.
No.
And then the quarterback that's going to be starting at Green Bay, Love.
Yeah,
Jordan Love.
Jordan
Love. He was able to sit, but everybody's not really sure that he's ready either.
Right.
So just because you bring a quarterback in and let him sit doesn't mean that they can get there. And so I'm not sure that they've made the right decision.
So what would you do out of these three players?
If I had to choose between those three players, I would probably go Bryce Young based on the intellect.
Who would you sit then?
Who would I sit? I would sit I'm not sure. I'm not a C.J. Stroud fan because of where he played at. I don't know that you had a fair evaluation of what he can do.
Right.
It's the same thing that's happened when you've got quarterbacks that have come out of Alabama. have you had it? Can you tell enough because of all the pieces they had around them? Can you fairly evaluate who they were? Now, I think being able to score and being able to read the defenses, because the other thing, when you talk about an Alabama or an Ohio State, they're playing behind offensive lines that are better than most of the NFL offensive lines that are out there. So are you really understanding what they can do when they get to the next level?
Well, listen to Trey Lance's stats. All right. Completion percentage, 54.9. Yards, 797. Touchdowns, 5. Interceptions, 3.
Okay, right there,
Quarterback
when you're
rating.
looking at 5 touchdowns versus 3 interceptions in the time that they've played, that's not a very good ratio in the NFL.
No.
And so Trey Lance being your cut, I can understand that.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm just not completely convinced of C.J. Stroud.
See, I'm not either. I'm a wait and see with him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, like I want to be able to see, and I want him to succeed.
Yeah.
You know, based on the testing that came out, and you know, some people made a big deal of that. Others say, "Hey, when you get out there and play, and the lights are on, it's a little different." That's true to some degree. But, you know, they say that luck is preparation meeting opportunity. No, not really. You know, it's not luck. You know, what that is, you know, that's a formula for success on a consistent level, right? So who prepares, you know, when's the opportunity to present itself, and am I ready for all the different scenarios in that? That's the issue I have with Richardson. It's not that I don't think he is a tremendous talent, but talent is unrealized, right, until it is displayed. Potential is unrealized until it's actually put to work. You know, Tony Mandarich is supposed to be the greatest of all time.
He is.
And rightfully so. When people looked at him, they could say, well, look how big he is, look how strong he is. And he did have a decent career in the NFL. When you watch his, you know, when they show you the, you know, the
Todd Marinovich was another one.
Yeah, Marinovich was, you know, is a guy that had imitation ketchup and his hamstrings stretched as a baby.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it was a little extreme. You know, these things, and it doesn't. You know, it's like Ryan Leaf. He was a no miss. And you know, you just never know from a psychological standpoint. The things that he's doing today to help people are tremendous because of prison time and all these things.
Sure.
But gee, the whole point of this is on a dime things can change, right? But one thing that we know about Bryce Young is he knows how to prepare.
Yes.
He is prepared.
Yes.
And his mindset is completely different of anything that a lot of us have seen in a long time on the way that he's able to just process information, sit down and talk to people, and keep everything steady.
And that may be the saving grace for him because of size, that his ability to get rid of the football and not take the pounding.
And he wants people to talk about his size because that's his internal motivation.
Sure.
Yeah.
Now, I want to go back to a question that when you're talking about C.J. Stroud, and here is, you say the last really good quarterback to come out of Ohio State and play in the NFL was Mike Tomczak, okay? At Ohio State, this is 81 to 84. You're talking 40 years ago, okay? He recorded 5,500 passing, 32 touchdowns, 36 interceptions. He spent 15 seasons primarily with the Chicago Bears and the Steelers.
Yeah.
Now, but here's the thing. When he was at Ohio State, he won 42 games. As an NFL player, he won 42 games. You think of Joe Burrow, but Joe Burrow only did 287 yards, 2 touchdowns in 3 seasons at Ohio State. He completed 29 of 39. It wasn't until he went to LSU. So you really can't say that he
need opportunity.
Yeah, he wasn't getting down, and which goes back to what I said. You know, for the Bengals, he threw 82 touchdowns, 31 interceptions, almost 12,000 passing yards in 42 starts, averaging 280 passing yards per game. So it's all about, you know, the opportunities that you get. But Ohio State and Alabama are not known for producing NFL quarterbacks. You know, but I think you're right on that. Let me do this. Let me take a break, and then when we come back, do you want to go cornerback or edge rushers next?
We are we're gonna go corners next
Corners.
because we got some youngsters in there that
We'll
just
try
got
to
drafted.
do that, and we'll try to sneak in some not egg rushers, but some edge rushers as well. Back in a moment.
Yeah, I want
Whether
some
it's a
egg rush.
sit-down meal or a call-in for the drive-thru, Brookwood Cafe and Catering is the answer. A variety of meats, vegetables, and desserts cooked daily, or a hot sandwich from the grill, they have what you're looking for to satisfy your taste buds. If you need catering from 5 to 500, Brookwood has you covered as well. Stop by Brookwood Cafe and Catering at 202 Providence Mill Road in Maiden. Don't forget breakfast daily till 11 a.m. Open Tuesday 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., Wednesday through Saturday 6 a.m. till 8 p.m., and Sunday from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Call 828-428-8944 to place your order today.
If you ask around, you'll find Burke Mortuary has a reputation for excellence and commitment to value. They've built a reputation of trust for more than 35 years. Burke Mortuary is proud to offer personal attention, meaningful tributes, and the area's most affordable prices. They're also proud to offer you beautiful, state-of-the-art facilities. It's the perfect place to honor your loved one. So when choosing a funeral home, the choice is easy. Choose Burke Mortuary with locations in Maiden and Newton.
Covenant Church began as a vision of just over 100 people in 1984. Since then, Covenant Church has grown and currently located at 2168 Gastonia Highway in Lincoln. The Sunday schedule includes early morning worship at 8:30, Sunday school at 9:45, and morning worship at 10:45. Their ministries extend beyond Sunday. Visit their website at www.covenantchurch.church to see all they have to offer, and better yet, stop by and see for yourself. Covenant Church may be just what you're looking for a new church home. First Federal Savings Bank has been serving Lincoln County since 1940. And as it has been from the beginning, customer service is a priority to First Federal Savings Bank. They want to get to know you by name. First Federal Savings Bank has the convenience, the products, and the services that the larger banks have, but with hometown people that you see throughout your community. Stop in and visit one of their 4 convenient locations and see what First Federal Savings Bank has to offer you. Member FDIC, an equal housing lender.
Untangling your headphones, finding the right remote, saying goodbye to your favorite shirt that hasn't fit in 10 years. Why are simple things sometimes so complicated? Thankfully, with auto owners, insurance doesn't have to be one of them. Auto Owners works with independent agents who live in your community and answer when you call, so you can worry about more important things, like finding a new favorite shirt. That's simple human sense.
Call Mooney Insurance in Maiden or East Lincoln Insurance in Denver, or visit MooneyInsurance.com. Stiefel Nicholas now has an office in your community. Stiefel Nicholas is a full-service organization offering a wide range of investment vehicles and services. These include money market funds, CDs, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, annuities, retirement plans, and managed accounts, to name a few. Our financial advisors will sit down with you and help you tailor an investment plan, explaining strategies and investments which may help you achieve your personal goals. Call 4 Rembert today at 828-624-7300. Stiefel Nicholas, member SIPC and the New York Stock Exchange.
And welcome back.
All right.
Glad to have you here. One of the things that we were talking about is that is not taking into consideration, we'll just have to see where this comes up, but one of the things I think, and we were just talking, your number one attribute should be, can you stay on the field? Doesn't matter how well you can throw, how well you can catch, how well you can block, how fast you can run. You got to be on the field. You got to be on the field. Let's see. Milton said he thinks Young's hurt by week 8, just too small. If they can scheme him, he won't. That's going to be the key, Milton. And Brian said, great show today. 2.5 men with the G-Man. G-Man may have a future. All right, where are we going? We're going corners?
Yes.
Give me your corners.
Yeah,
so.
Wait a minute.
He's Charlie Sheen.
He's Charlie Sheen?
You are.
No, I'm not Charlie Sheen. I'm Allen. All right, give me your corners.
All right, so we got Trent McDuffie from Kansas City.
Okay.
Derek Stingley Jr. From Houston. And Ahmad Sauce Gardner from New York.
Okay. Sauce Gardner, did he play at Clemson?
No, he did not. He played at where did Sauce Gardner play at? Hold on. I'll be very.
And you pick. I'll look it up. Who'd you pick? Why did you pick these?
All right.
Are these first year?
So yeah, these are the first year. Where you
It's amazing. This thing listens to us talk, and
he
then
goes
it
to
finds
Cincinnati.
it.
He
Played
went
at Cincinnati.
to Cincinnati.
Okay.
That's where he went.
Okay.
So I'm starting Gardner.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sitting McDuffie, and I'm cutting Stingley.
Okay. And why?
Stingley had a problem with he didn't really have a problem. He's just McDuffie got the second most interceptions and had out of these guys, Gardner had the most tackles.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure the most interceptions.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at corners, tell me what you look at first as far as what their number one attribute should be. Is it shutdown, lockdown corner? Is it tackle? What should today's corner in the NFL? What should they be able to do the most?
They should be able to lock up those number one wide receivers in the league.
Okay.
That's what they should be able to do. And when I mean lock up, I don't mean playing zone coverage.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I mean going to press those wide receivers that are the best, because then that gives them more experience to become better than those guys.
Let me ask you this. Here's where my problem comes from with the lockdown corners. That's great as long as you've got other people in the defensive secondary, because they're not going to throw to you. So you got to be able to cover. You don't have to have somebody on the same level, and you don't really have to have that corner that can tackle. That's become a safety's job now.
Right.
Yeah.
But you got to have the pass coverage. But if you've got a shutdown corner, it still doesn't make you a great defense unless you've got complementary pieces to where they can't beat you that way. Yeah. Because that's what people do. People will scheme against you and say, okay, I'm not going to let him beat me. I'm going to make these other guys beat me.
Yeah, and that's true.
So what I'm taking into account when I said that is that you have two safeties that are playing like the other two, or the two safeties are playing like in the middle of you and another cover guy, maybe like a linebacker that's covering a tight end or something. But I'm talking about if they throw the ball towards you and it's a bad pass, like if it's underthrown or overthrown, you should either A, be able to bat it away, B, be able to pick the ball off, or C, you should be able to at least not allow a touchdown.
When you think about where he is, though, he is with the New York Jets. Yep. Most people are saying that the Jets are a quarterback away from being a competitive team.
They are.
Okay.
They are.
Now the other side of it is, but you got the other thing, or does he just get lost in Neverland like Revis did, like Darrelle Revis did?
I don't think so in this case, because their makeup is a little different than I think than what a lot of us, are informed about when it comes to Jets. They weren't real exciting. The quarterback was his name, Zach
Wilson.
Miller.
Yeah,
Wilson.
Yeah, he was going to do this and this. Of course, you and I talked about that. Well, I mean, we want him to do well, but it was almost like a recipe for failure. You're going to go from a conference where you did all these things and ran and dominated and all this to NFL defensive players, and you say you can appropriately gauge what he did in college to I don't
college is where
I don't see that.
College is where defenses are either really good,
SEC, that's right,
or garbage.
Right.
So,
Big Ten.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
honestly,
it's a lot of former offensive players moved to the defensive side of the football.
Yeah.
Think about this. Think about our local products that came out of here that were great offensive players that went to ACC schools, and where were they moved? To defense.
Yeah.
Now, but here's the other side of that. Now, they've got a quarterback in New York now.
Yeah.
With Aaron Rodgers. He did commit to preseason, off-season workout, so they should be better. It shouldn't take him as long to gel with his receiving core.
Yeah.
Here's the other thing. There hasn't been a successful defensive-minded head coach since Belichick to win Super Bowls. Okay? Robert Saleh, which I think is a really great coach, but he is a defensive-minded coach. The teams that seem to be winning or being the most successful in the NFL because the rules have changed and shifted have been offensive-minded coaches. But is Robert Saleh the one that can change that now that – because nobody's doubting that New York has got a pretty darn good defense, even to be in the AFC East.
Yes.
But can they be – everybody's saying that that's what's hurt the Buffalo Bills. Because they don't have an offensive-minded head coach.
I
know you're a defensive guy. I'm just throwing it out there for thought.
I'm an offensive guy, but it's
what's wrong?
Think of it like this. When we look at Tampa Bay win the Super Bowl 3 years ago.
3 years.
The defensive scheme is what won that Super Bowl for them. With Mahomes and keep forcing him to his left and make him run the football.
But here's the question.
Yeah, but see, here's the problem. The offense nearly tripled how many minutes that they spent over Mahomes. So, and also, Mahomes threw 2 interceptions, just barely got over 200 yards, and didn't find the end zone.
Are you talking about in the Super Bowl?
Yeah, in the Super Bowl.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing, and I kind of agree with you to the old adage that offense wins games, defense wins championships. Mm-hmm. The problem is if you don't have enough offense, you can't get there for your defense to win Super Bowls.
See, and
you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You've got to have a balance in there as well, because a lot of times that defense doesn't get an opportunity because you haven't had enough offense to get you there.
Would you say that, G, this is for you too, would you say that Kansas City could have won the Super Bowl without Chris Jones being in the middle of the field on defense?
Ask the question again now.
Well,
Chris Jones.
Mm-hmm.
Can anybody say definitively that they would have won the Super Bowl without having him in the middle?
Oh, absolutely
but
not.
Would they have gotten there without the production of Joe Burrow?
No, I'm talking about Kansas City.
Oh, Kansas City. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, no.
Could they? I'm talking about obviously a year ago, but could they have done that?
No, I mean that's what I'm saying. It can't be. I don't think it can be heavily stacked one way or the other. Now, Andrew brings up TCU versus Georgia is a great example of this. TCU could produce offense, but they didn't have it defensively, and then Georgia had enough offense but a good enough defense where they could offset that. And that's what I'm saying. Georgia has won the national championship based on defense. I don't think anybody's denying that.
No,
but they still had enough offensive power.
More than enough. And
to
the
get them
best quarterback, arguably, the best quarterback, or I'm not talking about from an athletic standpoint, although he's pretty good, but from a management standpoint and understanding of the game and being able to run the field, making reads, run the field. I mean,
you're talking about Stetson Bennett?
Yeah, it's hard to argue with that.
But
I mean, you can, but there's
he did not fare well as far as a quarterback that they felt like would transition to the NFL on a high level.
Oh yeah,
because he was way down in the draft.
Tim Tebow, but nobody could control a college. I say nobody. Very few could control a college game like he could.
Right.
So it's a different.
But right now, that college game and that NFL game are still a lot different in how the execution happens on the field and what you need.
Because of the quarterback position being a running quarterback in college football.
That's correct.
So I'm with you on all this. We talk about offense, defense, and there's always been what you said, the adage, and Gary and I talk about this a lot. Offense wins game, defense wins championships.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think in today's world, it has more to do about matchups in the individual week that you're playing than just having a solid defense. Because if that was the case, Dallas, a lot of their defensive players were really good, for many years, right? But then they say, well, they can't get the offense going, but yet they were pretty good during the season, but then couldn't get going in playoffs. I mean, it's just that, the Steelers had the same issues, for years. When Big Ben started slowing down, Hines Ward, all these guys started retiring out or, going out. You say, what are they going to do offensively? Well, their defense kept them.
So do
it's just a mix,
when you get from regular season to playoffs, does your philosophy have to change some for you to advance through the playoffs?
It's a great question. I think what you have to do,
and you got to have the players that can do that. As you said, it becomes more scheming and matchup when you get to the playoffs.
So, and it does. Yeah. And so what does Bill Belichick consistently do over a 30-year period better than hands down better than anybody else when it comes to a game? Game management.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right? Like there are times when the Patriots would be in a spread offense with no backs, 5 wide, and then the next week, excuse me, they'd be in the eye and running toss sweep in the NFL with a fullback.
Going back to what you said, it becomes a game of matchups and able to adjust to what needs to be done.
It's not necessarily, and it goes all the way down to high school football. When you're watching an offensive team, the great player over there is going to be able to do great things because that's why they're labeled that way and they are who they are. What you have to do is minimize the great plays that player can make and then capitalize on the weaknesses to be able to create chaos to keep that great player from making those great plays.
Which goes back to I'm going to shut this player down. Right. You're going to beat me with somebody else.
So gap manipulation is really overrated when it comes to coaching, football on defense. It's more about player manipulation because you can occupy a man in front of you, and the whole idea is to be able to get through here, right beside him. Hey. Some people will say, well, yeah, but you don't have all your gaps covered. It's about occupation. It's not about gaps because as soon as the ball snaps, guess what moves? As you know, as an offensive lineman, the gaps move. Everything's gone once the ball snaps. There is no more gap.
Brian made this point, and he's exactly right. The Ravens with Joe Flacco had nothing to do with Flacco. Flacco was able to manage it and get them there, but the defense dominated that game.
He was good, but he was to me he was better than Trent Dilfer, which is a great example that Brian used here with the Ravens.
Dilfer's another one.
Dilfer was the quarterback earlier in 2000 when they won, right? Yep. So good. Who said it, Brian? I can't read the board.
Yeah, Brian.
Great point.
The other thing when you're talking about what you're talking about with being able to adjust. I'll give you 2 teams that for years were always consistent in what they did. One of them is Shelby, in that they didn't change their systems, but they were able to put players in the right place.
But they modified their approach.
And then Lincoln was a team that if they had to completely shelve what they did last year offensively because they didn't have a quarterback to throw or they didn't have a fullback or they didn't have a veer running back, they adjusted and did the same thing on defense. They would adjust everything they had based on talent.
And Coach Smith for years, right?
Yep.
And Scott
Cloninger.
All these great guys coming through. Let me ask you this. How about this discussion I had 3 years ago with somebody? Comes up before I get started on that and go, what's the best defense to run in high school football?
The one that maximizes the players you've got.
Exactly. However, blue in the face, well, no, so-and-so said that this is the best defense to run because you got to do that. I said, okay, does it matter what defense you set up if you put 3 11-year-olds or 4 11-year-olds up there against all this? Then is it the best defense? Well, no. I said it's all about personnel and maximizing efficiencies, capitalizing on abilities, and minimizing potential risk through inabilities.
You and I both know, that there's not a lot of difference between a 5-2 and a 3-4. Okay? And the reason for that, or even you start talking about a 4-3, all of those things are based on, and this is what I never could get folks to understand, where am I better? Am I better with personnel to put in linebacking positions, or am I better with personnel to put in lineman positions? Because if you're not strong at linebacker, you can't run a 3-4. Okay? Because you got to have that.
No.
I've got big boys. I've got to go to something that utilizes those big boys and hides those linebackers and keeps offensive linemen off those linebackers. You have to evaluate your personnel by position and not just say, I'm just going to run this or I'm going to run that. Same thing offensively. If you don't have a Mason Avery, for example, at fullback, it's hard to run a wing T where that fullback is so dominant because that sets up everything else that you do, right?
Yeah, in the wing T, if you stop the fullback, it's done. It's just like the double option. The veer option out of spread.
Right.
With the two little B backs back here and the fullback. But again, when you look at it, you break down the offense and you say, okay, who are the key players here? There's a team we played a couple of years ago. It's a local team in another county that they ran, spread option offense, and their quarterback and one of their, what we call wing backs or B backs were the key playmakers. Well, people say, no matter what, you got to stop the fullback. I was like, no. What we're going to do is let him get about 75 to 80 yards in the first half. He's going to be really tired. Second half, he's going to get about 50, 60 more, and that dude's done. Mm-hmm. We're going to annihilate these other ones on the veer keep and the pitch and the midline and all that. That crap ain't happening.
And unless you got a stud, it's hard for that fullback to put points up. He may push you up and down the field.
Right. We got a defense that'll strike you.
Right.
You have to manage a game and try to instead of trying to shut everything down.
Yep.
We're playing Lincoln a couple of years ago, and they were just lining up toe-to-toe and mashing us.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to see how our kids would respond. There are people losing their minds. Oh, we got to stop them now. Call timeout. They're killing us. I need to see this so I know what we're working with, because we haven't played a team yet that has done this, and we can't do this to ourselves in practice, right? So I've got to be able to evaluate this, all right? They're not going to beat us.
And be able to make changes.
And I've got to be able to say, okay, this is what we've got to do. This is what we have to practice to prepare, because when we meet this again in playoff football, we need to be ready for it.
Right.
And, that's the difference between right now and being prepared in process.
Right. I agree.
That's, this is the great, society right now is right now. I can tell you that successful people look out and make changes, now that they can make.
I've always said,
but they have to have time to evaluate.
The greatest coaches are the ones that can evaluate what they saw in the first half and make adjustments to the second half.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bill Belichick was a killer about that. Yeah. Give me what you got, G, quickly. What you got?
All right. Edge rushers.
Give them.
Nick Bosa.
Yep.
Aaron Donald. And
you going to put Donald as the edge rusher?
Watt.
Okay, that's fine.
Because technically he does play as defensive end.
Yeah, he can. He can. You're right. He can.
All right, so who you starting?
So I'm starting Watt. I'm sitting Bosa, and I'm cutting Donald.
Right. At an edge rusher, you would rather have Watt than Bosa.
Yep.
Yes.
Why?
Because T.J. Watt
is the best player in the NFL.
Because literally the stats don't lie. Stats don't
Who's healthiest?
Who's more healthy?
Yeah, Bosa or Watt?
Well, see, Bosa's played 2 seasons.
Yeah.
3.
Yeah.
Watt's played 5. So, or this will be his.
Which one's more available?
Most of the time it's more equal, but most of the time it's Bosa. But if I had to pick between the two, I'm taking Watt.
See, that would be my determining factor there. I mean, I've got to.
I think that's why you sit Bosa and start Watt, because Bosa can come in.
Yeah.
I think that's why.
Now,
because
obviously, if I had both of them, they would be flipping in and out.
Of course.
Or they would be on separate sides.
But I got to tell you, man, that's even tougher than the quarterback thing.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
All right, we got to get out of here. G-Man, you were the man today. Thanks for getting up and coming in for us.
Boy, he's been up since 5:15.
Well, he's prepping. I like a man that preps for the job. Have a great day, everybody. See ya.